Okay, we're good on YouTube. We are good on others. YouTube should be up. YouTube should be running. Nice. Very, very good. And then we will also go live here on TikTok as well. All right. Very interesting day in the markets today. A lot of things have happened. The news of the day has to probably be what went on with Moderna. Moderna were up over 150% on the trading day. The company's value more than doubled today after some phase 3 trials that have gone on with Moderna. This is pretty wild. A company of this size experiencing this drastic change or this big of a change in its stock price in a single day is pretty insane. I think this actually might be the best trading day Moderna has ever had. Obviously, it has to do with the successful phase 3 skin cancer trial that they have been partnered with on Merck. So some very exciting moves for Moderna on that front. And today we also got news that the U.S. Treasury is going to double its buying back efforts for the buyback, the Treasury buybacks that it's going to occur for the rest of the quarter, starting September 9th. We're going to be going from $2 billion of buyback to over $4 billion, or at least $4 billion of buyback. Bitcoin is up 5.5% today, which is good. And by extension, that also means that Strategy Inc. is also on a pretty good run today, up 11.7%. On some other news that might not be so good, Nebius is down more than 11.8% today after they announced they're going to have a $4.5 billion convertible bond note offering. So definitely some crazy stuff. The favorite live to be in, thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining. Very happy you're here. Tons to talk about today. Lots of crazy things going on in the market. Got out Nebius, took my profit. Do you think the overall AI dip will continue? Tio, I think with NeoClouds, the dip will continue. I actually entered a short position with Nebius yesterday at market close at about $246 a share. I got out at about $217. Volatility with Nebius was that opportunity presented itself. It was almost too good to pass up. So got a nice little 12.5% return there on the day on a quick short position in Nebius. I'm still bearish on this company, but the technicals were just pointing towards major downturn. What I will say is I did also get lucky with the news about the convertible bond offering. That pushed things even closer. Other NeoClouds like CoreWeave, also not a great position. We're basically back we're approaching pre-earnings levels with our NeoClouds. Not quite, but things aren't going that well with them. So again, my bearish thesis hasn't changed with them. In fact, it's probably only gotten more. What's going on with Broadcom? Good question. We probably should see what's going on with Broadcom considering what's going on. Down 4% today. And it looks like, according to Yahoo Finance, Google selected their rival Marvell as a new AI chip supplier. So some pretty bad news for Broadcom. I know that Broadcom was in business with Google for a bit, but not good. Unc, what stocks are you buying right now and holding right now? I am buying and holding Reddit, and I am buying and holding Take-Two Interactive. Reddit obviously is not on a good path today. We're down 3.5%. I like this. I still like this entry point. I think this is a great buy the dip opportunity. Reddit's business is absolutely fantastic. Really, really bullish on this. And it also looks like things for Nike are improving as well. I'm also bullish on Nike. Our support for Nike is staying stubborn at around $38.50 to $39 per share. So definitely going to be definitely bullish on Nike. I'm hanging on to them for a while. My target price is $57 per share. Take-Two, are you going to hold them for 20 years? I'm going to hold them until it doesn't make sense. I'm definitely holding them through the release of Grand Theft Auto 6 later in November, probably partly into 2027 as well. What do I think about Lunar and Micron? I think that obviously Micron is kind of flat today. That $1,000 per share level is something that a lot of people are concerned about and paying attention to, or at least that's kind of a resistance level we're seeing. With Micron, the fundamentals are there. Obviously, they had some good news after being selected by Google over Broadcom for supplying AI chips. Lots of things to like about Micron. I'm not in on them, but I understand why people would be. Solid fundamentals. Broadcom or buy or sell? Sal, I think Broadcom's too expensive. I didn't get into Broadcom, wasn't paying a ton of attention to them just because they were overvalued relative to their competition. Just Viet says, I didn't see your question, Just. I didn't see it in the chat. I'm looking for it. Yeah, I don't see it. Oh, where do you think QQQ is in 5 years? 60% of my portfolio. I apologize for missing your question. As far as QQQ is concerned, in 5 years, that's a tough one. I wish I had a purple, a crystal ball that went out that far. I'd imagine it'd probably be better than the position it's in. So, yeah. Thoughts on Bloom Energy? Dados, Bloom Energy is a bit too expensive for me. It's pretty exciting, though. One thing I want to see with Bloom is I want to see a really, really solid bull case for them. Those are my thoughts on them. Thoughts on Apple? What a geez. I'm holding my Apple share for a very long time. I'm probably never going to sell my shares in Apple. It's one of my best performing buy and holds. I don't see a reason to sell right now, nor in the future at any time. Evan on YouTube says, "Sup, Andrew? Fully exited self at 100, bought more Reddit and Meta." Nice, well done, Evan. I think Reddit is a wise choice. Meta is an interesting one, but not a bad one considering what's going on with him. This lawsuit that Meta's facing is a bit of a concern. I prefer Microsoft, but I understand why Meta isn't bad either. What would you say are the most important things to focus on when analyzing a company? That's a great question, Latif. I take a mix of my investing philosophy is centered around. I'd say I take a relatively balanced look at the fundamentals from a value investor's lens. I also look at technicals. I'd call it 60% weighted towards value investing, and then the other towards looking at technicals and maybe a growth story. I'd call myself a hybrid investor. I don't know exactly what you would call that. I just call it a hybrid. So in my case, that's what I'm thinking. Thoughts on TSM? TSM is probably not going anywhere anytime soon. They are the starting point for a lot of the AI supply chain. And if things unravel and if we do enter a bear market and things do get kind of ugly, I still think TSM's a solid pick, and I like it. I just bought Moderna at $29, sold for a cheeky profit. Well done, GJ. That's you probably had an amazing day. Go buy yourself a steak dinner or a drink or something like that. I mean, this is pretty insane, the run that Moderna is on. I haven't seen something like this out of a $60 billion company in a very long time. Thoughts on SLS? To be honest, Mark, I don't. With SLS, I need to do more research and I need to do more homework into how their products actually work and the trials that they're working on. Biotech, admittedly, is one of my weaker points. Understanding all of this stuff, like what type of antigens they go after and what type of like a CDK9 inhibitor, I don't know what that is. I need to have a better understanding of what I'm investing in before I buy stock in the company. What website am I using? This is Yahoo Finance. Amazon and Google, solid picks. I prefer Google. Amazon's not too far behind. But out of the 5 hyperscalers, Microsoft's my favorite at the moment. Some guy had like 6,000 shares of Moderna and made $500,000. I'm sure a lot of people turned into millionaires today as a result of the movement in Moderna. Pretty insane stuff. But there were also some other big movements, some other news in the market today. I mean, we're seeing Bitcoin up 5.6%. Back up above $68,000, which was pretty interesting. So definitely worth paying attention to. Opinions on throwing 10K into Vanguard FTSE. A solid, I'd say a safe pick. Any of Vanguard's index funds or ETFs are solid products. My favorite are VOO, VTI, but VOOG and VOOV are also decent ETFs as well. And you can make a decent amount of money on that sense. So what happened with Moderna? Jack, Moderna passed a phase 3 trial for a vaccine against some certain types of skin cancers, and they were partnered with Merck on that, and it did extremely well. So obviously, a lot of people are very, very excited about the implications of what's going on with Moderna. Opinions on the Meta situation? It's pretty big. They could face some pretty serious fines. Little concerning. What stocks would you short right now? Queen of Shenanigans. I actually exited a short position of Nebius this morning. I entered a short yesterday near market close for Nebius. Closed that out this morning. I'm still short CoreWeave. But there are plenty of interesting opportunities with respect to shorting right now. Honestly, I would imagine a lot of investors could end up taking profits on Moderna. I'm sure the technicals are off the chart on Moderna right now. Whether it's RSI or your MACD or whatever, there's probably a ton of momentum pointing towards the oversold direction. We'll see, though. I haven't taken a look at that yet, but that could be an interesting opportunity. Do I think Broadcom will ever go up? It might, but the thing with Broadcom is that they're not. I don't think they're good as Marvel. I don't think that they're good as Micron. They're pretty expensive for the line of business that they're in, and I think that they're higher quality companies. So it might, but I'm not interested in purchasing stock in Broadcom at the moment. What about Rocket Lab? Rocket Lab is a bit too much execution risk for me. As far as, another rough day for Rocket Lab. As far as like the long-term potential of companies like Rocket Lab, I believe in. But the execution risk is very high right now, and that's what I'm concerned about. Should I hold or sell my shares of Moderna? It's up to you, Reese. I would say you take a look at your profits, and it depends on what you think of your current profit position, because I'd imagine you almost certainly are in profits right now. All this surge because of phase 3 trial? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. According to the news that I saw. Thoughts on Grab long term? Grab is not. I would hold Grab if simply for the off chance that Uber decides they're going to buy Grab. That's why I'd be interested in Grab. Other than that, it's not a super interesting story, to be honest. What about ASTS? Honestly, ASTS, I'm a little bit more bearish on than even Rocket Lab. The execution risk, I think, is even bigger with them. I think there's some niche crossovers with SpaceX. I know that they're developing different technology. I know that they're they're doing different things. I don't believe in their moat, though. That's what I'm a little concerned about. What about race, Ferrari? Let's hope Charles Leclerc wins in Zandvoort this weekend, or Lewis. I'm a big Ferrari fan. Forza, andiamo. What are your thoughts on Nebius right now? It's down $30 a share. Is it a buy? V, in my opinion, no. It's not. Nebius announced another $4.5 billion convertible bond sale, and they're having to privately negotiate with some of their shareholders regarding this. This is not something that I think is a good sign. To be honest, I'd imagine that things are probably. I could see things getting even worse for Nebius in the near future. The technicals aren't pretty. Opinions on Duolingo. Lucian, Duolingo is pretty interesting. Their margins were a lot thinner than I thought they would be. But they're having a great day. Having a very good day, 5.3%. What's interesting about Duolingo is that they've got a nice moat, and you're getting a low beta for about a $7 billion company, which is honestly kind of surprising in today's market, and a low PE as well with no dividend. So in my view, despite the fact that they've had a bit of a rough year, is it going to behave like a defensive play? I don't think so, but I need to do more homework on them. I'd love to see a bull thesis if you have it. I would ask, what price would I consider Cisco? What price would I consider Cisco? What is Cisco trading at right now? $111? I think with Cisco, it could be interesting below 100. But I also do need to do more homework on Cisco. So we'll see. Why are my stocks upside down? What do you mean? What's upside down here? Do I think AppLovin will come back with their Axon development? Potentially. Axon is kind of one of those stories that it could have been a market overreaction because of the bad news from Q2. it's been a rough year though. They were probably overvalued at some point during the year, and it's not like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of. Well, what I will say is it's not that I'm not a huge fan. It's I need to do more homework, but it could be trading at appropriate values at the moment. Thoughts on Nvidia long term, Easton, with Nvidia? Here's what. So right now, Nvidia, I like what they're doing. The fundamentals are very good. We came down a little bit after some local highs on the stock price. What concerns me with Nvidia is Jensen Huang's push to create GPU-backed securities. That's problematic. And obviously, the amount of circular financing is not new news. This is something that a lot of people are concerned about. But in addition to that, there's also concerns with the guarantees that they're offering, particularly to some of their customers like OpenAI. That's an issue. That's why I'm a little concerned about Nvidia, despite how strong the fundamentals are. Is Meta and Intel safe to buy? I would avoid Intel. I think Intel's too expensive, Christian. As far as if you're interested in Meta, I would say Microsoft's a more interesting play at the moment. Boston Scientific is looking pretty good. Are they? I know a lot of people were asking about Boston Scientific yesterday. Not bad. Up 3.5% today. Looking pretty good. I know Boston Scientific does a lot of good stuff. It's a pretty complex company that would probably take a bit of time for me to dig into the weeds to. It's not my next deep dive, but I'll definitely add that to the list. What are your thoughts on IREN? Alex, I'm not a fan of IREN. Not a fan of NeoClouds. If I had to pick a NeoCloud, though, it would probably be IREN, but, we'll see. I think Gaston says, what about strategy? So, Gaston, I'm in the middle of my deep dive video on Strategy Inc. I'm posting that on Friday. It's going to be like a 40-minute. I'm really digging into the weeds. Strategy Inc.'s an interesting one. This company is essentially just a treasury management operation. They are buying Bitcoin en masse. They own 4% of the world's Bitcoin. They're going to continue to keep buying Bitcoin, and they essentially manage. It's a capital markets management situation. It's almost not even really a business, in a lot of ways. Very interesting. They have a very interesting balance sheet. A lot of interesting tranches of mezzanine equity that are trading on different tickers. So, for example, let me pull up my notes on them here. So, for Strategy Inc., some of the other tickers that they have are something like STRF, which is a 10% yield. They offer a 10% yield. They also have other ones like STRK, which is an 8% quarterly yield preferred equity that you can get a pretty decent return out of. Obviously, they've got convertible bonds. It's a very complex capital stack for Strategy Inc., but definitely an interesting story. So I'll be posting my deep dive on them and what my target price for the company is. I've been saying Moderna for the last 10 minutes. Okay, well, Ethan, the news on Moderna is like pretty obvious. They've passed their phase 3 clinical trials for a vaccine to skin cancer. That's why everyone's so stoked about it. It's gone up another 12%. No, more than that. It's gone up almost 20% since I've started the stream. Or up. Yeah. God, just absolutely insane levels of movement with Moderna. I'd be very happy to be a Moderna shareholder today, but there's only so many opportunities you can get. So I'd love to check out the technicals on Moderna after the trading day today. Absolutely, Gaston. Happy to answer your question. Redwire. What about Redwire? Redwire's cool. They've got an interesting niche, but I don't like how they don't make money. I think that there are other plays that could be interesting. And looking at Redwire's fundamentals, let's just go take a look here really quick. Yeah, trading at $12.38 a share, and I think you guys can see this all right. I'm just going to move this over a little. So the problem I have with Redwire is revenue stagnant despite the fact that the net loss situation is improving. They do have a healthy balance sheet, but it looks like they probably had to raise capital through another share offering. So that means current shareholders get diluted even more, and they're still at a negative 35% margin. As far as like what's exciting about them, to be honest, it's I'd need to know. I'd love to hear from somebody in this sense. I would really like to know what people's bull thesis is on them. Do I see Reddit going even lower tomorrow? I think with Reddit, we'll probably see some movement with Reddit. It's going to be guidance or some announcement with Google that's going to move the price. But regardless, I still like Reddit. I still like Reddit at its price, even if it's going down for a bit, because the fundamentals of Reddit are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It's got a great advertising business on its hands. Its KPI metrics with respect to user engagement are growing nicely, especially internationally. And the fact that the margins on Reddit are insanely good too. Thoughts on Oracle? Easton, I don't like Oracle. Not a big fan of Oracle, to be honest. No, I would absolutely add more shares at Reddit at this level. 100%. You still shorting CoreWeave? You're out already. I'm out of one of my short CoreWeave short positions. I still got another. The other one was about a 34% return. I shorted at 102 a share, got out at 68. And then the other short I have is at 95 a share and still holding that. What about Meta? Lewis, the off-balance sheet activities of Meta are concerning a little bit to me. So when you read Meta's filings, you got to do a lot of extra digging to find out what they're truly liable for, especially when it comes to data centers and real estate development. But as far as Meta, I think there are better hyperscalers to pick. Why are energy stocks falling? Mac, I didn't know they were. What do I think about Micron? Micron, for anybody who's curious about Micron, I like the fundamentals with Micron. They're absolutely there. In my view, our resistance level is between 950 and 1,000 a share. So as far as getting into Micron at this level, I'd avoid it unless you're very, very high conviction about future prospects for Micron. There's still obviously a lot to like about Micron. Moderna's on the move, up 5 more again since I checked. Yeah. Wow. My goodness. This is crazy. We're going to see the company practically triple in value in a single day. Elf is at target. Is Elf at target? Oh my gosh. Nice. Wow. Wow, that feels good. That feels good. The reason, and for anybody who doesn't know, for Elf Beauty is a company I did a deep dive on, and seeing it at this price is extremely validating. Because all of the work that I put in to do the DCF analysis, looking at the company's books, looking at their revenue streams, looking at what the businesses does, looking at what the management does, all that kind of stuff. I did my deep dive on Elf back in around early mid-July. It was around like 73 a share, I think. My target price for Elf was $100 a share. Now, we may see some corrections for the rest of the session for about the last 7 minutes that we have or tomorrow. This feels really good. Thank you for pointing that out, Olaf. I'm really, really happy to see this because it's not necessarily that I'm trying to toot my own horn here and say that I made the right call, but the work that I put in the research that I put into the stock is paying off, which is awesome. Feels great. Anyway. View on Nebius, Jacob. I exited a short position on Nebius that I entered into yesterday. Bearish on Nebius. Honestly, I don't like Nebius. Their convertible bond sale is not, the market rightfully so punished them for that. It's not a good company. Take-Two, I like Take-Two. I like Take-Two Interactive at this price, and I like what they're doing. Any stock to invest in right now? Ethan, my biggest bull plays at the moment are Take-Two and Reddit. Big fans of those. Really big fans of those. What do I think about Meta? As far as Meta, the off-balance sheet activities are concerning despite the fact that the valuation seems cheap. You're at just over a 20 PE, and they make a boatload of money, but they're spending a boatload of money, and they're doing it in a way that concerns me, especially with what's going on off their balance sheet. I wouldn't have thought Elf would reach target so fast. And I honestly, Olaf, I didn't think so either. So that we'll probably see Elf correct tomorrow, just because it's up 7.5% today, but we'll see. Netflix, how about Netflix? Yeah, Netflix is up 3.3% today. Okay. So the big news with Netflix is that Bill Ackman got in. I've been sitting on the sidelines with Netflix. I've been very cautious about what's going on with Netflix. They have had some concerning guidance out of the second quarter report, especially with what management said on how they're tracking user engagement. I'm not still fully convinced about Netflix. I'd love to know what you guys think. What about Innoviz and Newmont? I need tickers. If y'all can give me tickers for those, that'd be great. And Navitas Semiconductor, I need tickers. Give me a ticker. Richardson Electronics. Never heard of these guys. This is the first time I've ever heard of this company. Electronic components, power grid, microwave tube, and related consumables in North America, Asia Pacific, Europe. Okay. Electron tubes and radio frequency, microwave power components, semiconductor manufacturing equipment. Interesting. Okay, so they've been around a long time. They've probably been in business, or they've probably been publicly traded for a while. A bit of a high beta at a 41 PE and a 1.27% yield. How have they done so far this year? Not bad this year. Pretty good. As far as them, I need to know like what the story is. Like what the growth story is and what their balance sheet looks like. So I mean I can go check it out. There's probably more exciting opportunities at the moment. Okay, go check out INVC. And Easton, the things that I like about Reddit are the fundamentals. Oh yeah, this is a micro cap. I don't look at micro caps. Don't care. Yeah, I don't care. Not something worth paying attention to in my view. As far as Reddit, Easton, the things that I like about him is the revenue growth has been awesome. Growth in daily active users outside the U.S. have been good. Growth is slowing down a little bit within the U.S., and I think that the AI content licensing is promising for what's going on with them. So yeah, I'd go to my YouTube channel. I do a whole deep dive on Reddit. Go check it out. DRAM, Verax DRAM is not like as far as sector ETFs are concerned, and as far as like memory in general. I don't have shares in DRAM. I get why people like it, but when it comes to sector ETFs like this, I'd rather just buy the best company in the ETF. And for me, that's either between SanDisk or Western Digital. So if you want exposure to the entire sector, this is probably the best way to do it. Me personally, I'd rather just go look at the individual businesses. What do you think about AI stocks? Do you still see potential? Well, Vincent, which like what part of the are we talking like Anthropic and OpenAI? Are we talking like semiconductors? Are we talking memory? Are we talking Nvidia? Are we talking hyperscalers? Like what are we talking about? Thoughts on Meta or Broadcom? If I had to pick between the two, it would be Meta. ISRG. I did a deep dive video on ISRG on my YouTube channel. Incredible business, incredible moat, slightly overvalued. I want to buy a ton of stock in that company, but I can't justify it. Thoughts on Tesla? Lewis, I don't buy automotives, let alone Tesla. Tesla's not interesting to me. Now, as far as AI companies like OpenAI and Anthropic, OpenAI is a massively unprofitable mess, in my view. I don't trust Sam Altman at all. And AI in general is overvalued. They're not publicly traded yet. I haven't seen all of their financials, but as far as investing into AI, I'm definitely going to read the S1 when it comes out, and I'll definitely stream the IPOs. That's for sure. Fabrinet launches. Okay, so for a person asking about FN, optical packaging and precision optical, electromechanical, and electronic manufacturing. Okay. So circuit board assembly, packaging, integration, final. Okay, testing. And they're based in the Cayman Islands. Huh. Okay. Lasers, transponders, all kinds of fun stuff. I haven't heard of these. I mean, I may have heard of these guys. I haven't heard of them recently. Down 5.8% today, and after market, kind of hanging in there. How have they been so far this year? Pretty much flat. To be honest, I don't see what's super exciting about them. I'd love to see a bull thesis, though, if you have it. I'd love to see a bull thesis on them. Alex, thoughts on IONQ are this. I'm very long term, I'm bullish on quantum computing. I think quantum computing is going to be the next big thing after AI. With quantum computing, though, it feels a little bit early to get in. I looked at the income statements for IONQ. I looked at the income statements for Rigetti. They're losing a lot of money. It's just massive R&D expenses. I think the commercial viability of quantum computing will be revealed to the world pretty soon. It feels a bit early, though. What about Accenture? I think management consulting in general is cooked. I'm not a fan of Accenture at this price. I'm not going to get into this company. I don't think that they're. Yeah, I mean, like they have not had a good year at all. This does not feel like a buy the dip opportunity. It feels like a value trap. Thoughts on Reddit? Yasin, very bullish on Reddit. Big fan of them. It's definitely love the fundamentals of the company, love the growth in the advertising business, love everything that's going on with them. Hold Reddit for long or short term. I take it quarter by quarter, Easton. Novo Nordisk. I think Novo Nordisk is obviously they're not the most popular pharmaceutical company today. I think they're my favorite European pharmaceutical. They're absolutely nailing it when it comes to the GLP-1 game. They're right up there with Eli Lilly. I honestly think that they're interchangeable in a lot of ways. Eli Lilly, though, has been a lot more popular in the market than Novo Nordisk has, despite the fact that on paper Novo Nordisk looks cheaper. I get why people like this. I need to see a little bit stronger of a bull case, though, if I want to get into it. Do I like Nike? Yes, Key, I do. I do like Nike. I've been bullish on Nike for a little while. A lot of people have given me a lot of crap for my take on Nike and my positions on Nike. My target price for Nike is $57 a share. I think we'll probably see that somewhere around 2028. Hims and Oscar just gone parabolic this last hour. Any guesses as to why? How has Hims done today? Up 13% today. That's quite the jump. With respect to the movement on Hims, my guess is it has something to do with Moderna, but the thing is that I can't verify that. I haven't been a huge fan of Hims, to be honest. This year it's been not great for them. It's been okay. But again, I'm like they should be making more money than they are, and they do have some regulatory hurdles that concern me. My target price for Reddit, Alex, is about $230, $240 a share. What happened with Moderna? Eric, there was a phase 3 clinical trial that Moderna passed for a skin cancer vaccine. Now, this, I think, is where I'm surprised we're not down even more after market. I was expecting this to be like immediately 5-6%. So could be a good short opportunity for Hims. We'll see, or for Moderna. We'll see where they go, where they end up tomorrow. I haven't looked at the technicals. Maybe you guys have, but extreme movement in Moderna's price today. Just absolutely wild. Thoughts on Klarna? Not a huge fan of Klarna, to be honest. Ondas, Doman with Ondas, it's a great little defense contractor. I think drones are a very interesting niche. It's overvalued in my view, though. and it's not any fault of their own. They have had great movement with respect to getting contracts nailed down, especially when it comes to, I think they got a big deal with the Australian government, but the market is overhyping them, in my view, just a little bit too much. What about CRM? Bryson, with CRM, with Salesforce, they've had some nice movement today. Wow. Okay, if Salesforce is up 5%, how did ServiceNow do? We need to take a look at ServiceNow as well. Yeah, 6.4. Okay. Very interesting things going on with the markets nowadays. I don't know why SaaS companies are up this much. I'd imagine it's probably because it might have been news from the Treasury about the buybacks that we're going to end up seeing in September and through the rest of the third and part of the fourth quarter. I don't know, though. I don't know. With Salesforce, it could be a good entry opportunity. It's been a rough year for them, though. And Salesforce is kind of a dinosaur, at least compared to ServiceNow. Thoughts on MP Materials? Victor, I think MP Materials is cool. I think the magnet game is interesting. I think USAR is more interesting. What do you think of Meta dip if and when debate? Karj, I honestly, Meta, if I want to get into hyperscaler, I'm getting into Microsoft. The lawsuit's a little concerning right now. And honestly, things are probably not going to end up going well for Meta, just based on how things have gone in the past. Thoughts on CoreWeave? Zanzi, my highest conviction play at the moment, I'm definitely short CoreWeave. I held multiple short positions in CoreWeave, and I still hold one short position in CoreWeave. It's a massively overvalued, debt-ridden mess. Thoughts on shorting SPY? Trejo, I don't, as far as like shorting, like this, if we're talking about the State Street S&P ETF, I don't short ETFs just because I'd rather short individual businesses. It's less research, it's more focused, and I think you can get more conviction out of shorting a company as opposed to an ETF. Thoughts on Riot and thoughts on NEM. We'll go look at Riot while I tell Yasin here my thoughts on Nebius. Nebius, I was short Nebius for a short period today and yesterday. I entered a short position in Nebius yesterday afternoon. I closed it out at about 247 a share. I closed it out about 217 a share. I may enter another short position with Nebius. Not a fan of the company. It was massively overbought at Q2 earnings, as was CoreWeave, of course, but definitely bearish as they currently stand, especially after that $4.5 billion convertible note offering. So no, yes, and I would avoid him, maybe even short him. Riot Platforms. Yeah, is this the company that makes... Oh, they're a Bitcoin miner. Okay. Bitcoin mining and engineering. I think if you're a Bitcoin miner in today's market, you're probably wasting your GPU power. Like these guys should have taken a play out of Iron's playbook and pivoted to offering their compute to AI companies looking to train their models. Now, with that being said, Bitcoin recovered quite nicely today. We're at nearly $69,000 a coin. But as far as miners are concerned, at least Bitcoin miners, not a big fan. They did pivot. Oh, these guys did? Well, if that's the case, and if they did more than just mining Bitcoins, then that was the right move. Infrastructure, Bitcoin mining facility, also management, power distribution. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, it could be worth a look. Maybe I was talking down on them too much. It could be worth a look. Rheinmetall is a very solid European defense contractor. Thoughts on IREN? I would like an AI data center stock. Why? Why do you want an AI data center stock? Like again, in my view, IREN's too expensive. I'm not paying $43 a share for this company. You need to ask yourself why you want to buy an AI data center stock. Like what's the point? What's got you so curious about that? Is it because of what other people are saying? Because if that's true, then I don't know. Hi, what do you think of On? They're a good contention for signing Mbappe. Don't have any thoughts on it, Joe, if I'm being honest. I haven't looked at it. Newmont had a great day today, up 7.8%, staying still after hours. Nice. Very good. However, I've said it before and I'll say it again. When it comes to producing gold, and mining gold, I don't see a reason to get into this company when I can just go to gold futures. If I want exposure to gold, I'm just going to buy the gold futures contract. I'm not interested in putting a business in front of that investment and having to deal with all of the expenses that come with investing in a company. Just the value is in the commodity itself, not the company. So I'm not going to get into Newmont. I'd prefer gold. And I'd imagine they're up 7.8%. Just because of what's going on. Maybe it was the Treasury buyback announcement. Sold Moderna puts on Tuesday. Am I a good investor? Daniel, I'd say you're a gambler, not an investor. Tesla, Lewis, I'm not a fan of Tesla. I don't, but again, I'm not a fan of automotive companies in general. So, Tesla's doing a lot of interesting things. Tesla may be a robot company here in the future. It's too expensive for me relative to its earnings. I'm not going to get in on that. Thoughts on Salesforce, Alex? I think CRM is a little bit of a dinosaur compared to ServiceNow, but there's probably more upside potential with Salesforce. They have better free cash flow. They got better earnings and actually better margins too. But ServiceNow has done a better job of putting AI agents into its product line. And I think ServiceNow is a stickier ecosystem. A lot of people complain about Salesforce. Thoughts on Nebius? I was short on Nebius. I'll probably be short again. I'll probably buy another short position on Nebius. We'll see though. Thoughts on GTA 6? I'm definitely going to buy the game, and I'm definitely bullish on the developer. I own stock in the developer. Very stoked about it. Grab is at 356. Joao, I saw that. Grab could be interesting, especially for retail investors because it's so cheap per share. And what's cool about Grab is you can basically hold it as a way to potentially capture upside if Uber makes a move. TTW price target. Right now, Lewis, it's about $285 a share. Do I think it's too late? No, I don't. I don't think it's too late to get into TTW. And absolutely, Joao. My bullish on drones. Any companies I'd get invested in. Tori, as far as drones are concerned, yes. It's a crowded space, though. I wouldn't get in right like with Ondas. That's probably our best example. I'm not yet. I'd wait for things to calm down a little bit and maybe wait for some corrections to occur before I'd get in. Stocks I'd buy right now. Zanzi, I'm a big fan of Reddit, big fan of Take-Two Interactive, and I like Waste Management as a defensive play. Thoughts on ISRG? Hammonds, you should go watch my YouTube video on ISRG, an amazing company with an incredible moat. I wish it wasn't so expensive. It's probably a little bit overvalued. And thoughts, and what's going on with Moderna? I mean, obviously, guys, it's some very, very big news. I cannot believe we're almost breaking even after hours. This is kind of wild. I was expecting Moderna to be down at least 6-7% right now. This is pretty interesting. Thoughts on energy fuels? Grayson, are we talking about, are we talking like solar, nuclear, or are we talking like storage or infrastructure like Bloom? Thoughts on Accenture? It's a value trap, and I'm not bullish on management consulting. I don't think that they're in a great position. AI has done a lot of damage to them. Minerals Nuclear. Do you have a ticker you want me to check out, Grayson? Because you can shoot that my way and I can go look at it. Vistra. I think Vistra, as far as what's going on in the AI development game, I think Vistra will be one of the winners. They're not going to be. They're not going to capture as much upside as some other parts of the AI supply chain, whether we're talking about VST. There we go. Whether we're talking about, energy, memory, semiconductors, or whatever. And that's just because construction companies, their margins are thinner. Revenue growth has been great, though, but they probably have a pretty complex balance sheet, and I need to know how much. I haven't seen how much debt they have. But it looks like they're free cash flow positive. So you can collect an okay yield out of them with an okay beta at a fair valuation. As far as seeing how the rest of the year goes for them, we could maybe see them hit 160. But I don't like the opportunity cost of investing into Vistra. It's probably a solid company. There's probably a lot of things to like about them. I'm going to sit on the sideline. Should I invest in NVIDIA and Apple? Plan to hold them for 5 years maximum. Why 5 years? Why not longer? Tell me more. Tell me more about your logic. NextEra has a good balance sheet. Honestly, I like Constellation more. What's interesting with NextEra, though, is the potential acquisition of Dominion. That could be interesting. Ticker is UUUU. Oh, is this the uranium play? I think let me double check, Grayson. Uranium, yeah. This could be interesting. It could be. As far as the fundamentals of the company, I'd have to do more research, but it could be an interesting play. AMD, Shag, I don't. So as far as AMD is concerned, here's my thoughts on AMD. Massively too expensive, way too expensive for what you get, and the opportunity cost in buying stock in AMD is too high if you can buy stock in NVIDIA. I like NVIDIA more than AMD. What concerns me, though, about NVIDIA is the off-balance sheet activity, some of the circular financing deals, and this whole attempt by their CEO to try and make NVIDIA GPU-backed bonds a thing. That's concerning to me. What about AMAT? Xavier, I'm a big fan of AMAT. I've been holding them a long time. I know they've had a rough couple of months here. Fundamentals for AMAT are still strong, though, but we're probably going to see more volatility just as we get closer to something like an OpenAI IPO or an Anthropic IPO. That's supposed to happen later this year, at least with Anthropic. Would you hold Adobe at this point? They have double-digit revenue growth. Isha, it sounds like you know more about Adobe than I do. Adobe, I've said before that Adobe feels like a value trap. I may have to stand corrected at this point. And I definitely probably need to do more homework on Adobe. Do you like buying stocks more or selling options? Why? I like buying stocks more just because I can get more information about the company than I can. Like, obviously, you can look at all the Greeks for options. I lean more towards as a value investor as opposed to a technical investor, but I get why people like if I sold covered calls on a very high, conviction play where I think that we're probably going to see some downside. Like if I had 100 shares of CoreWeave, I may sell covered calls on it. But as far as trading options, I've done it before. I'll continue to do it in the future. I mainly focus on stocks, though. What about Swissborg? Daniel, I need a ticker, please, for PayPal. Sure. Yeah, we can check out PayPal. What about Treasury bonds? Well, what's going on with Treasury bonds is kind of wild. The U.S. Treasury market had a pretty insane day yesterday. And then the U.S. Treasury came out today and said that they're going to double their buyback efforts from September 9th to November 4th. They're trying to save the yen carry trade. So basically, the U.S. is paying off high interest credit card debt with low interest credit cards right now. It's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. Kind of concerning on that front. As far as PayPal's concerned, PayPal it's okay. A little boring in my view. They're up slightly today. Obviously, they've had a pretty good last 6 to 8 weeks. There are things to like about PayPal. I do need to do more homework on them, but I'm looking at other opportunities. I'd love to see somebody's bull case for PayPal, though. And Nike, Gutenberg, I'm bullish on Nike. 80K to deploy what you pick in. D, I'd honestly look for some short opportunities as well as getting into. I'd also want to take a look at what's going on with respect to. I'd get into Reddit. I get into Take-Two Interactive. There's some hyperscalers I get into as well. Like Microsoft is a decent pick right now. So you would not pay Treasury bonds. Treasury bonds are not like. With the way yields are right now and the way inflation may end up looking, you may end up actually losing money on Treasury bonds. Treasury bonds are great for somebody who's just about to retire, trying to protect their money as much as they possibly can. I work at PayPal. I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Ibrahim, I need to do more homework on PayPal as a potential investment. What they're doing right now, they have a good business model. They have they've got a great position of market share. I'm a user of PayPal. Their services are great. The growth story is kind of boring, though. I'd love to know more about the growth story of PayPal. So if you know more than I do, please feel free. I had a great buy for PayPal, only lost 70%. Ouch, Lars. I'm sorry to hear that. Microsoft, though, is one that I would pick for anybody. For anybody who wants to get into a hyperscaler. Thoughts on SK Hynix? Incredible fundamentals, Lucas. I mean, they're Korea's version of Micron. A lot to like about them. Novo Nordisk. JH, Novo Nordisk they're my favorite European pharmaceutical company. Honestly, though, they deserve more attention than they're getting. If Eli Lilly is, the hot Instagram influencer, then Novo Nordisk is kind of the ugly one who gets ignored. And wrongfully so. There's a lot to like about Novo Nordisk. You see Moderna today? I did, Lars. From my internal perspective, we have a few major splits of crypto, enterprise, PayPal, and Venmo. Yeah, Ibrahim, I definitely do need to, I need to take a closer look. It could be a good opportunity to get into PayPal, but we'll see. The growth story is a bit boring, but there is value in being boring and cash cow that gets M&A. Yeah, I mean, if they do, I don't know how much cash they have on their balance sheet or what their credit rating's like. There's probably some good M&A opportunities for them to buy other companies, but I don't know what that would be, though. That's hence why I say I need to do more homework on it and think more about it. Short Moderna tomorrow. Oh my God. Wow. Look at this. They're up 4.3% after hours. I think that puts the stock. I think that they may have tripled in value in a single day. Insane. Absolutely insane. They're getting close. Is it worth shorting Moderna? Oh, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of volume at market open, though. Lot of volume at market open. ISMR. I haven't taken a close look at these guys. I've heard of them before. But as far as small plays like this, as far as micro caps like this, I don't pay a ton of attention to them if I'm being completely honest. I'd love to see a bull case for them though. super overreaction by Moderna for Moderna. Maybe one, maybe. Really, pretty crazy. Thoughts on Chinese market? Baidu, Tencent, Baba. As far as Chinese companies, I think that I don't pay attention enough to Chinese companies. If I'm being completely honest, I need to pay more attention to what's going on with them. Some of them are absolutely incredible companies. Baba being one of them. And Tencent Technologies is very impressive as well. I'd love to look at the financials for companies like Huawei as well. So we'll see. If you look at the long-term sheet, I do not think it's an overreaction to Moderna's price. And curing cancer is an overreaction. Well, Larry, I don't like. Did they announce it's a cure? What I saw was they passed a phase 3 trial. Does that equate to a cure? I'm not 100% sure. A lot of people seem to think so, but we'll see. Thoughts on Google? Google's my second favorite hyperscaler, but their off-balance sheet commitments are scaring me. Thoughts on Fermi? Has a lot of potential. Potentially. With Fermi, what I need to know is who's going to occupy those data centers, right? I mean, like with Fermi, I need to look very closely at what sort of, like, the real estate assets that they have. I need to take a close look at. And the other thing that I also want to know is who's going to be occupying the data centers. So I'd imagine it's probably going to be some type of announcement that would move the stock. Thoughts with with earnings coming up, Lucas? I'd imagine they'll probably have a beat, and then they'll probably go up anywhere from, say, 4 to 10% in a single day. I'm still too expensive in my view. Vaccine for cancer, so no cure on the Moderna thing. So it's a vaccine. It's not a cure. Question is, how effective would it be? Yeah. As far as, like, oh my goodness, wow, up another 8.3% after hours. This is pretty insane. Nokia, Nokia, honestly, it's not something I pay attention to. It feels like a meme. What's my first favorite hyperscaler? Right now it's Microsoft. $50 call option on $50 contract on Moderna turned into 10,000. Sounds like that probably would be a day. It's time to short Moderna. Yeah, we'll see. I'd need to see what the volume looks like at open, but by then it would probably be too late. Thoughts on Meta right now, potential buying option? Alex, I like Microsoft more. Microsoft is a better company fundamentally in my view, and they're doing a lot less shady stuff. And honestly, I think Satya Nadella is a better CEO than Mark Zuckerberg is. I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg's strategic vision on big things like this because, by the way, for anybody who remember when Mark Zuckerberg said that the metaverse was going to change the world and that they were basically going to have 2 billion people interacting in a big virtual world? And when the metaverse came out, it was a total mess. It was a buggy mess that they spent billions of dollars on that just sucked. Well, now his next big thing is creating a super intelligent agent for everyone, right? Go read his 7,000-word essay where he basically says super intelligence should be in everyone's hands and we're going to democratize it and make it amazing. And the super intelligent agent is one that you can trust with all your deepest, darkest secrets. It'll manage your marriage for you. It'll manage your personal finances. It'll help you with your career on how to negotiate with your boss for a raise. It'll teach you new hobbies, all this kind of crap, right? And he goes on to address some concerns about what's going on with with AI and the concerns about AI, like water usage or or security or, AI basically becoming self-aware, all this kind of stuff. This is someone who can't see the forest through the trees. Mark Zuckerberg didn't get it the first time with the metaverse. He doesn't get it now. Hey, bro, I'm a big holder of TTWO, big holder, a lot of position in super profits. What do you think of the current? Helldiver, I'd hang on to it. My target price for TTWO is 285 a share. And we may not see that until, I'd imagine it's probably going to come later this year, maybe into 2027, but I think it's probably it's at a great position right now. Target price for Meta, I don't have a target price for Meta at the moment, but it's not something I'm like. I like Microsoft more. Moderna's at 190. Wow. It just keeps going up. Target price for Vistra. Jay, I think we could see it hit 160 by the end of the year. Maybe. What's going to move it though? I think is announcements from NeoClouds. Maybe NeoCloud earnings. Maybe new announcements on new projects. Feel left out with Moderna. We'll see. Newmont Corporation thoughts. Burrito Michael, I don't like. So good fundamentals. They've got a lot of. They have a lot of operations. With Newmont though, I'm not. Like, why would you buy a gold miner when you can just buy gold futures? The value's in the commodity, not the business, at least when it comes to gold. How do we feel about ASML? Probably the deepest and widest moat out of any company in the world right now. They're definitely, TSMC is up there with them. Lithography will always be a thing no matter what, regardless what happens with the market. Their position is insane. Their technology is even more insane. Its value right now isn't unreasonable, I don't think. I would consider waiting a little bit though, and maybe finding a right entry point. So for me, ASML, when it comes to the fundamentals and a value perspective, it's a no-brainer. The question then becomes a technical one, and when you choose your entry point and what the growth story is. So for ASML, love the company, love what they do, fantastic earnings, fantastic moat. What's the right entry point is the question. What do I think about quantum computing? Quantum computing, I'm very bullish on it long term. The company's involved in quantum right now. It's a little early for me. The moat, yeah. By moat, I mean their secret sauce, their competitive advantage. What makes them special? Wendy's, Alibaba, Novo. Out of all of those, Asa, I like Alibaba the most. Wendy's is basically a consumer defensive play at this point. You get a very low beta with a decent valuation. Unfortunately, no dividend. With respect to Novo Nordisk, there's a lot of potential upside with Novo Nordisk. The problem is with Novo Nordisk, the market doesn't treat them as well as it treats Eli Lilly. So that's also something else to pay attention to. Fundamentals of Novo Nordisk are quite strong. Out of all three, I'd pick Alibaba. Minute 7:30 Wendy's, so I hold only up 80 euros. Well, that's not bad profit-wise. Looking at the amount of money that you're up on the stock is, I think, kind of the wrong way to look at it. You look at what your IRR, your return percentage would be. Hey, Matt, how's it going? Top 5 buys. Torosology top. If I had to pick top 5 right now, it would probably be Reddit, Take-Two Interactive. I like Microsoft's. I like Waste Management as a defensive pick. And probably gold. I like gold right now as well. Is Microsoft too expensive? I don't think it is, to be honest, no. No, I think Microsoft has the strongest business model out of all the hyperscalers. I think that a 27 trailing 12-month PE for this company is low. There's a lot of things to like about Microsoft. Wait or buy NVIDIA earnings. Honestly, I would consider getting into NVIDIA before earnings. We're probably going to see another beat. Thanks for the heart, me. And thanks for the gifts, everybody. Thanks for everybody. I didn't say this, but thanks for all the roses and all the gifts, guys. Thank you so much. Really cool of y'all. What's a good entry point for Nebius? It's a better question is what's a good short point? Yeah, no, that I'm not thinking about entering Nebius. I'm thinking about shorting it. Should have bought gold when it was about $39.50 a few weeks ago. Good news is I already owned it back then. How's Netflix? Netflix is doing good today. They're above $80 a share. They may have shaken off their Q2 blues, and the bad guidance that came as a result. So we'll see. We'll see with Netflix. One sec. I'm gonna fix my. Hopefully this brings me back into focus a little bit. Crap. Thoughts on Webull? I mean, they're a solid broker. I like as far as Webull's concerned. I think their platform's cool. If I had to pick though, Robinhood might be a better choice. Applied Materials. Doman, I like Applied Materials despite the volatility lately. I've been a shareholder for Applied Materials for a long time. Like what they do. I really like Broadcom. Not so much, Tyler. Not so much. Broadcom is not a little too expensive. It's a little overvalued. Good short point for Nebius. Prequelize. I'd have to go look at the technicals again. I saw the short point yesterday at about 247 per share. And then I got out of that short this morning about an hour after the market opened. So I don't know what the next short point for Nebius is, but I'd have to go take another look. Thoughts on Celsius? Leafy, Celsius is their sales slowdown is a little concerning because when you have a slowdown in the beverage game, that can compound upon itself. It being up nearly 8% today, especially after. So here was Q2 earnings. The market did not like it going into Q2 earnings. Had not the best guidance for Q2 earnings, and then all of a sudden it rebounds and now it's up. That's odd to me. I mean, they missed estimates, like right here, according to Yahoo Finance. Disappointing Q2 results. Revenue of $818 million, missing estimates by over $50 million. That's a big miss. That's not good. It's a great company. I mean, sure. I don't like it at this price, though. Thoughts on Nokia? Thomas, it's a meme, if I'm being honest. This is Nokia over the last 5 years. Got a little bit of upside right here. Not something I pay a ton of attention to. I think I own a couple of shares of Nokia in an IRA that I don't really pay attention to. So yeah. Celsius, the wealthiest. Big Al, it sounds like you had a good day. Missed what you said about NVIDIA. What's your 6-month expectation? Here's the move I'll make on NVIDIA is here's what I'll do with NVIDIA. If they announce that they've achieved a financing syndicate with KKR, Blackstone, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, maybe Morgan Stanley will get in on it, and some other, maybe hedge funds or other large asset managers, and they essentially invent a new security that are GPU-backed bonds, then at that point, I'll probably short NVIDIA. What NVIDIA's doing and the circular financial relationships that they have with their customers and their clients and their investors is a problem. It's a problem. Jensen Huang is not showing signs of slowing that down. Now, fundamentally speaking, NVIDIA is knocking out of the park. They're the best in the world at what they do at the moment. They'll probably beat earnings. And I think their earnings are in a week on the 26th. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they're doing very risky things right now. It feels like late stage bull market activities is what they're doing. He's trying to expand his customer base for people who can buy GPUs by giving them the access to the financing that they need. And if you essentially underwrite AI companies on the premise that revenue is going to continue to grow exponentially, and then you finance it with what could presumably be subprime GPU-backed debt, that's a problem. Thoughts on Oracle? Tufan, I'm not a big fan of Oracle. Oracle's debt and credit rating are a problem for me. And then Al says, go to pass. Pan American Silver Group. $2.1 billion acquisition of Mag Silver. Significantly boosted silver reserves and cash flow. Nice. Now, are these silver miners? Yeah, exploration, mine development, extraction. Yeah, so I'd rather just buy silver. I'd rather buy silver than the stock, to be honest. Watched her live for 50 minutes. Thanks, Oliver. Appreciate you. Thoughts on Vertiv? It feels a little bit expensive to me, but what I do like about Vertiv is that they do have, I think that they have an interesting niche that isn't too crowded when it comes to providing the infrastructure for everything that they have. So there's a lot to like about Vertiv. It's a little bit expensive in my view. Thoughts on TSM for the next couple of years? Burrito Michael, probably not a bad idea. Oliver, thank you so much. Thank you. What do I know about MSTR? Chris, I'm glad you asked. I've been spending most of this week doing my deep dive research into Strategy Inc. I'm going to be publishing my deep dive video on Strategy Inc. on Friday on my YouTube channel. This is a pretty interesting, it's almost not even a business what Strategy Inc. does because there's 5 other tickers associated with this company. This is essentially a Coinbase and treasury management operation where people can buy stock in something like this, like STRD, and they can get a preferred dividend out of it. And for Europeans, it's STRE. Oops, wrong ticker. In fact, is it even here? No, it's not here on Yahoo Finance. Or like STRF. And essentially, you can turn an investment that has exposure to Bitcoin into a 10% yield. That's the whole point of all this. So I'll be posting my deep dive on Strategy Inc. soon. But I know enough about them to kind of have an idea of what I think about them. Moderna. Okay, yeah. So obviously, guys, the news with Moderna is pretty insane. Things have calmed down a little bit after market. I think we were up almost to 10%. They were getting close to $200 a share there. Pretty exciting stuff out of Moderna. It feels very overbought. I mean, when you have a $63 billion company appreciate this much in a single day, I'm sure the technicals are kind of wild. We're probably seeing massive overbought signals right now. I don't know if I'm going to short them in the morning. We'll see, though. And look at the 5-year of Moderna. Yeah, right. That's actually, so Bryson brings up a great point. Here's Moderna over the past 5 years, by the way. So, I mean, if you bought them back, in 2022, you're probably like, oh, okay, not nearly as bad as I thought. But, it's been a pretty ugly 5 years. Thoughts on Meta, Yoren? I like Microsoft more than Meta. I like Microsoft more than Meta. Mark Zuckerberg is he's a pick me. Mark Zuckerberg's a pick me and he's doing stuff off balance sheet that's a little bit shady. He's not telling the full truth up front about what his company's up to. Coinbase, Theo, Coinbase is a solid pick. Obviously they're the primary medium to exchange crypto, at least in my experience. They're up 9.5% today because Bitcoin is up 6.4% today. So as far as getting into Coinbase and getting invested in them, I kind of almost want to treat this like a gold or silver mining company because the value is in the commodity, not necessarily the business itself. That's not a perfect apples to apples comparison, though. I'm totally aware of that. I do need to do more homework on them. There's probably some fundamental concerns with them, though, a little bit. Thoughts on AMD? Reese, AMD is not... I don't get why you'd buy shares in AMD when you can buy shares in NVIDIA. Rolls-Royce. I think GE Aviation is a better pick, but Rolls-Royce isn't a bad business at all. And Hims and Hers, Jay, and Hims and Hers should be making more money than they are. And the regulatory concerns, the FDA basically probing them pretty hard isn't great. Thoughts on AMAT? Leandro, I like AMAT. I've been a shareholder of AMAT for a long time. Been in touch with any of the quantum computing space, IonQ, QBS, or RGTI? Yeah, Chris, I've looked at the income statements for IonQ and Rigetti. I'm long-term, I'm very bullish on quantum computing. I think it's the next big thing after AI. It's a little bit early for me, though. And Constellation Energy is also, it would probably be my energy pick at the moment. The nuclear niche is very interesting to me. And I think that the power demands are going to be there. And I think the best long-term way to do that could potentially be nuclear. I do need to educate myself more on that topic, though. What do you think of Anthropic, which will come out mid-autumn? I know Anthropic's looking for around $1 trillion valuation. Is Anthropic's IPO going to be as big as SpaceX's? No, but I will definitely be streaming. I will definitely be live streaming that IPO. I will 100% be live streaming that IPO. It's going to be very interesting what happens with the Anthropic IPO, and I will definitely be reading the S1. Applied Digital, Marcus. Applied Digital, no. I'm avoiding Applied Digital. They're losing more money than they're making. They're losing money faster than they're making it. TRLV. Trulieve Cannabis Corp. from Big Al here. First weed stock to get listed on the exchange. Interesting. Okay. But what do they own? Okay, so they cultivate, process, manufacture cannabis products, distribution dispensaries. They do home delivery. And then they also have flowers, edibles, vapes, oral, topical, concentrates, accessories. So they have all kinds of product lines, and it looks like they do cradle to grave. So they grow it, cure it, process it, distribute it, turn it into stuff. Okay. $1.8 billion market cap with a low beta, hardly any short interest, and it looks like they're losing money. I'm going to move this over for you guys a little bit. So here's Barron's right here for those of you who are curious. Quarter over quarter, things don't look great, Al. This net income, like this $405 million loss, looks like a one-off item. That might be like some single large other expense that's worth looking into. They almost certainly identify that in their filing. I'd imagine the balance sheet got impacted as a result of that as well, because we didn't see a huge change in liabilities, or the change in liabilities wasn't as big as we saw in assets. So their cash position might have been impacted as a result. It could be interesting. I'd need to see. I need to do my homework on them. It could be good. Could be cool. So I'll throw it on a watch list. like a whole lot of other stuff. Telix, Baptiste, I need a ticker. Apple thoughts since iPhone 18. Yeah, Burrito Michael, I'm never going to share sell my shares in Apple. I'm always going to hang on to them. I mean, Apple's going to be around long gone after me. Or they're going to be around once I am long gone. Eli Lilly, my favorite pharmaceutical at the moment. CRCL, Circle Internet Group. Financial services, platform network and market infrastructure for stablecoin and blockchain applications. Okay. Circle Digital Assets and Services, which includes Circle USDC, USD. Okay. Its stablecoin network comprises of Circle stablecoins, tokenized funds, liquidity, payments network, and developer service. Interesting. So I need to understand how they make money. Basically flat year to date, except for the second quarter when things really took off for them. And then they kind of calmed down once the third quarter began. As far as their revenue streams, that's what I need to learn more about. Yeah, I need to understand more about this business. Are you bullish or bearish on semiconductors? For now, I'm bullish slightly. Grab, Raymond, I'd hold Grab, just in the off chance they get bought by Uber. Their fundamentals are a little bit weaker than Uber's are. So if you're super into if your position is that you're very bullish on rideshare and the market expansion of that, then go for it. I'd pick Uber though, but Grab could be interesting if Uber makes a move. All right, TLX. Go look at TLX. Telix Pharmaceuticals. Up 2% today. All right. What do they sell? They're in Australia. Commercial stage, biopharmaceutical company focused on development and commercialization of therapeutic diagnostics, radiopharmaceuticals. Okay. So when it comes to pharmaceutical plays, this is what I always tell people. I need to understand like what TLX 101, a system is therapy for the treatment of glioblastoma. I know what glioblastoma is, but what exactly does TLX 101 do in order to treat that? A lutetium-labeled radio antibody drug conjugate. I have no idea what that is. I'm sure a lot of people have no idea what that is. I need to understand what that is in order to invest into it. It takes a lot of time to learn this stuff. And I can't spend a ton of time learning about it. It could be a really great business. It could be an incredible pharmaceuticals company. So it helps if you guys bring a bull thesis as to why you like them when you mention the ticker. Can we look at NXT? Yeah, Matt. What news for Reddit do you expect? Alex, as far as Reddit news is concerned, are you talking about what's going on with Google, or are you talking about like next earnings report? Like what news are you referring to? Yeah, I remember looking at next power yesterday. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Because I know they build the infrastructure behind solar panels to help track the sun. And there's some things to like about that. Their fundamentals aren't insane. And they do have good revenue growth. I do remember seeing this yesterday. Decent revenue and profitability growth. It could be an interesting play at the moment because they had a lot of excitement going into Q2. Their Q1 earnings were exciting. They beat by 13.5% right here. That's pretty big. And then We recently had earnings with another 14.7% beat, but the stock's come down, which is interesting to me. It could be an interesting play. I'll definitely add these guys on a short list. SanDisk? Yeah, how is SanDisk doing today? Did we get closer to $2,000? Nope. We moved in the opposite direction. A lot of people were curious if SanDisk got its mojo back. I think that we're probably going to see resistance levels around $2K on SanDisk. There's a lot of reasons to like memory at this price, though, especially SanDisk. I think Western Digital is worth doing the homework on if you're going to look at SanDisk as well. What I think of Meta, I'm like Microsoft more than Meta at the moment. It's a stock I'd recommend looking into. Elias, I think Reddit is it's a great advertising company. It's not overly complicated, and they've had very, very strong results this year. I'm bullish on Reddit. And Alex, with respect to the Reddit news regarding Google, I think they'll work things out. I think that AI content licensing is still going to be a thing. They're just the first ones to do it. So, there's going to be kinks. There's going to be mistakes. So I am still bullish on that. And here we are at Moderna for all those of you who are asking. Just because I'm curious, I'm going to go to TradingView here. And I'll pull it up. We just need to see Moderna. Okay, so here are the technicals on Moderna. I'll pull them over for you guys. So right here this is our MACD. I'll pull down the RSI instead. I like RSI as an indicator a little bit more. So let me add this for Moderna, and we'll just see what the overbought momentum looks like. Okay. Interesting. That's not as much as I thought it would be. But then again, this is still pretty early. Let me go to the 5-minute interval here. Look at this. Jeez. Oh, my God. Yeah. Just completely blew out of the water. Even on Bollinger Bands. Like, this is kind of crazy. Here was earlier today with the RSI. We were sitting at an index level of nearly 100. 97.1. It's going to 350 tomorrow. It's still telling me it's overbought. I don't know what investors will do with that, though. It's going to require a close look at what the volume is. It's been a wild run, though, especially for today. Could have made history. I think it was a historical day for the company, I imagine. I just need a Bloomberg terminal to see what the short activity looks like, but unfortunately, I don't. Who has the money to pay for that? I don't. I certainly don't. It'll go to 350 tomorrow, so it's gonna practically double in value again. Yeah, we'll see. I think that's unlikely, but we'll see. Look at CAI. All right, Caris Life Sciences, biotech. Commercializes solutions to transform healthcare using molecular information and our AI machine learning algorithms. Cool. Whole exome sequencing, whole transcriptome sequencing, tissue-based molecular profiling solutions, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, again, biotech plays are things that I'm not, it's my weak point. Understanding the technology is something I need to have a better understanding of. Why do we like it, though? Good griefs. What do we like about them? Hopefully a historic day for cancer treatment. I hope so, too, Selena. I actually hope so, too. Look at their fundamentals. Well, while I'm doing that, tell me what you like about them. Like, what's interesting about them? We're getting very different PEs on two different platforms. According to Yahoo, trailing 12 months, 2.38. That's low. And then on Barron's, we're at 61. Huh. Okay. You'll see. Okay. Basically stagnant quarter-over-quarter revenue. Been unprofitable for several years, and we just had a big equity raise in 2025. Big CapEx spend, it looks like, in the second quarter, and the balance sheet looks like it's in okay condition. Yeah, no, this isn't that exciting. A decent size short interest. What's the play? Look at ownership. Okay, David Dean Halbert. So, I mean, I'm not like, yeah, I'm not going to play guessing games. It's a waste of time. Microsoft or NVIDIA? I'd say Microsoft. Look at percentage. Let me guess, is it you? Could Novo Nordisk ticker really make a return if it's on a steady decline recently? Joe, that's a tough one. Recent history tells us no. But I mean, there's like here's how it's done so far this year. The fundamentals of Novo Nordisk are stronger than the stock price suggests, in my view. So it could. It could. The question is, what do we consider it recovered at? Like, what's the threshold for recovery? Hard to say. Eli Lilly is being rewarded much more at the moment, and they're both great companies. So it's a challenge to determine what company is the better move from, I say, a mid to long term perspective. Palantir, as far as my opinion on Palantir, it's very expensive. Palantir has had incredible growth, both margin and revenue growth, and the quality of revenue has gone up, quality of earnings have gone up as a result. What makes me a little nervous, though, about Palantir is it's overhyped by the market, in my view, and the market is priced in some very rosy growth assumptions for Palantir. I'm also not a fan of the CEO. So, no, I'm not, like, as far as Palantir, incredible business, very impressive numbers that they've put at, but too expensive. So what's better with Eli Lilly? Yeah. So with respect, this is always an interesting comparison because you'll find two companies that do the exact same things that are trading at very different valuations. A great example of this, when it comes to pharmaceuticals, it's Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. They're both the kings of the GLP-1 game. Novo Nordisk is trading at 11 times earnings from a trailing 12-month perspective. Eli Lilly's at 43. Novo Nordisk has been down for most of the year. Eli Lilly's up. Another two pair that you can compare is Salesforce and ServiceNow. Salesforce has been treated like a dinosaur for a while, and ServiceNow has had a pretty good year. So what's better about Eli Lilly is honestly a great question. Why does the market think Eli Lilly is more impressive than a company that has had very good results as well with a very similar product? So Beatrice makes a great point. I find it fascinating how Lilly and NVO are so massively different in terms of stock price. I agree. It is interesting. And I think a lot of people need to pay attention to it because, again, here's Eli Lilly. We're at almost $1,300 a share, and they were trading at the beginning of the year at about $1,100, a little less. And then Novo Nordisk at the beginning of the year was trading at around 50, like 56 a share. And now it's down to 46. Why? That's what we call that is something worth looking into. It's not quite arbitrage, but it's worth looking into. MSTR, Akif, I'm about to release my MSTR deep dive on Friday. As far as MSTR is concerned, you should go watch that video. Love these inverse year-to-date charts. Haven't seen this way. Yeah, I mean, honestly, they weren't looking this way the other day. I like this a lot more. I think that, Yahoo Finance did a software update. I actually do like this. This format looks better. Loading up on Reddit this year. Nice, Chris. I think that's a good move. All right. Go look at VST. What is this? Yeah, Vistra. Yeah, okay. So we've looked at Vistra before, Marcus. With respect to Vistra, their growth and their fundamentals look good. Again, as a construction firm, though, margins are thin. We could see them recover to maybe around 155 to 160 this year. I think that's possible by the end of the year. But it's been a bit of a bumpy ride this year. So honestly, I'm putting it on the sideline. It's not something that's on the primary front burner right now. Watch your Meta Microsoft. It was great. Thanks, Hammonds. Appreciate it. Thank you. Best platform for beginner and trading. Actually, Robinhood's not bad. I'd say Robinhood is a decent spot as a beginner. It's not my broker. I use Schwab, but some people have good experience on others. Some people have bad experiences on others. I like Schwab, but I've been with them for a while. Opinion on NVO, Eli Lilly's competition. Leo, we were literally just talking about this. I think Eli Lilly's the better pick right now. But there's a very interesting disparity going on between the two. Check out SLS. They have their own cancer trial and FDA fast track. York, listen. Yeah. This is the third time I've looked at SELLAS Life Sciences today. They're not going to get the same treatment as Moderna. Everything that they're working on, I'm sure, is pretty important and pretty cool. I don't know enough about what they're doing, especially biotech startups or pharmaceutical small to micro caps is not my strong space. I need to understand that better. As far as SELLAS Life Sciences is concerned, it's probably something similar to a binary outcome for them. They're messing up the gray peptides market. Eli Lilly's trying to get FDA approval for retatrutide. I like them long term. I don't know what a gray peptide is, but that sounds like another way for them to make money. Leo, I appreciate the roses. Thank you. Tempted to dip into Robinhood or Reddit, Robinhood. Too late? For Reddit, Hammonds, no. I don't think it's too late at all. Tons of things to like about Reddit right now. As far as Robinhood's concerned, my conviction isn't quite as high. I know there's things to like about Robinhood, and its valuation isn't insane. And the fact that they're the fact that they got in on the prediction markets game, I think is an interesting play for them as well. Thoughts on MELI? Yeah, we can go look. Yes, Mercado Libre. Really good day today. Really good day today. I mean, they're Latin America's Amazon, right? In a lot of ways. Incredible moat that they've built for themselves. As far as what we'll see with Mercado Libre going forward, I know that I did see some news that they did have a profitability miss. So it's worth investigating more. And it's been a meh year for Mercado Libre. Short this stock. Short Mercado Libre. Why is that? Won't do well in a recession. Patrick over on YouTube says, what do we think of Lumen? Lumen Technology, yeah, we can go look at Lumen. Or Lumentum, right? Lumentum, these guys. Pretty interesting stuff. I think AAOI is a little bit stronger of a play, but they're both good companies. I can see why people are very, very bullish on them. And I think fiber, like the fiber niche has kind of been flying under the radar, especially with respect to all the noise that memory and semiconductors have been making during all this AI boom we've seen. So it could be a really great pick. I need to go look at their filings more and understand the business a little bit better to see if I like it. Thanks, Leo. Appreciate that, man. I try. CapEx bubble going to burst the start of the short we'll see. We'll see. It's all a question of, is AI going to pay off? And so far, at least according to some of the news we've seen about OpenAI, it's not. Andrew, to buy something new on this dip? Wilt, I shorted Nebius yesterday afternoon. The most recent move I made was on Nebius. I shorted Nebius at 246, like 247. And then I got out right here at about 10 o'clock this morning, around 217 a share. It was the technicals were screaming at me. I did also, get a little bit lucky with the announcement about the convertible bond sale. And interest rates are a concern for Nebius and CoreWeave. They're both debt-ridden messes, especially CoreWeave. I may end up going to short more CoreWeave tomorrow. And I've already closed a short position on it. I still have an open one, but no, CoreWeave's a mess. Is Reddit a growth stock? No, I'd call it value right now. It's a value stock with a great growth story. Can I ask you a question? It's fine if you don't understand it. Yeah, go for it. Good afternoon, Rui. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about yourself? What do I think of MP Materials? MP Materials is it's in an interesting spot. I think that the magnets game is the materials game for magnets is cool. I think USAR is a more interesting play though. I'd rather get exposure into rare earths if I'm gonna go this route. So I'd pick USAR over these guys if I'm being honest. If the Fed raises rates soon, what's going to happen to the market? Glam, I don't think the Fed will raise rates. Warsh himself said it. He said at the last FOMC briefing, he said, yeah, the market's basically doing the work for us. And he's not wrong. So I don't think they're going to raise rates anytime soon, especially with the way things are thinking. Now, if there's enough buyback activity in the U.S. Treasury markets, I mean, rates came down a little bit today, but they're still pretty elevated. What do I think of CoreWeave, Joe? I think CoreWeave it's my highest conviction play at the moment. It is a debt-ridden mess with a company that has very poor quality of revenue and quality of earnings. They added a lot of debt to their balance sheet quarter over quarter. Interest expense last quarter alone was $600 million on about $2.5 billion in revenue. Their revenue increase is impressive. That's the only thing that's impressive about these guys. They compete with their own customers. It's getting to become a crowded space. The cost of capital to build more data centers is only going up. And the unit economics of renting out GPUs is improving for the users, but pricing power for CoreWeave is deteriorating. It's not good. It's really, really not good. Do I stay away from crypto or are you a fan of MSTR? I dumped on MSTR pretty hard earlier. It's what I will say is Strategy Inc. is essentially a treasury management operation that is entirely contingent upon the price of Bitcoin. Which, by the way, we broke in 69,000 since the stream started. Bitcoin has had a rough 2026, and therefore Strategy Inc. has had a rough 2026. But it's all about what you think moves the price of Bitcoin and where the price of Bitcoin goes. That's literally everything. Their capital structure for MSTR is insanely complicated. They've got convertible debt, mezzanine equity, and common shares. And so far, common shareholders are losers in this company. So I'm going to produce my whole deep dive on MSTR on Friday, and we'll talk about it. But kind of, there's things to like. There's a lot of things to really love, and there's a lot of things to really hate. It's almost not a business in some ways, but we'll talk more about it on Friday. Why is Bitcoin bullish right now? Like, what's the cause of that? Beatrice, I'd imagine it's what's going on with the dollar and the yen. I think a lot of people are fleeing to Bitcoin because of fears about the yen carry trade. Kind of like a gamble, yeah. Trump will have a meeting with top AI leaders next week. Should we do an in and out on NVIDIA? I don't know if that's going to move it too much, Wilt. Thank you, Leo. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the gifts. Really nice of you. What happened with Moderna today? The phase 3 trial passed, and apparently it's a cure for cancer, or it's a vaccine that could help against cancer. And Carolina TerraWolf, CoreWeave, Iren, Nebius, all these neoclouds I am not bullish on. Some I am much more bearish on than others, but the long-term business model of neoclouds at the moment does not look great. They're all losing money, and they're all losing money fast. Which CEO is Trump going to bring other than Jensen Huang? I'd imagine Sam Altman's going to be there along with Dario, and Mark Zuckerberg may show up. We'll see though. USAR, it's an interesting niche, Justin. I think that there's some good exposure to USAR, like good exposure to the rare earths you get. So not bad. I don't love mining companies though, but since there's no futures market for like samarium, this is a good way to get exposure to that if you want. Berkshire Beers S&P 500 long term. Blue Squirrel, honestly, I think Berkshire. The reason why I say that is just because, hang on, here we are. The Berkshire's balance sheet is an absolute fortress. This company could survive a recession that's like worse than the Great Financial Crisis. I mean, they own like 3% of all U.S. treasuries. They have $400 billion in cash. And it almost acts as an ETF anyway, just because of everything that they have. It's almost like a consumer cyclical and insurance ETF in some ways. So I'd honestly pick Berkshire over the S&P, but we'll see. It's a great defensive play at the moment. I hate how they don't pay a dividend, especially since they're doing nothing with their money. They should be paying, like, almost half their market cap is cash and treasuries. Kind of wild. Buy Burke when the old man dies. Yeah, that may come sooner than later. So what do you recommend? As far as neoclouds, Carolina, I recommend shorting some. I don't recommend getting into them. But as far as companies that to take advantage of during this whole AI boom, there's some semiconductor plays that are very interesting. And I think that if you go to the beginning of the supply chain, so if you look at like TSMC or ASML, those aren't bad plays at the moment either. Love that they don't pay a dividend. It helps after tax returns. Fair enough, Bo. Fair enough. USAR thought I had a PC of around 32 to 45. Had family buy Berkby a few years after, in the 80s after the IPO, done over 1,000%. Yeah, your family members are pretty happy, Justin. They're saving money for a 2008 style bailout. Yeah. Maybe. They're waiting. They're biding their time. They're very patient. Worried too much about AI hype? Adam, what I'm worried about, short answer, yes. Long term is unit economics of AI, the unit economics of tokens, financing, and oversold ROI figures. Growth projections and the unit economics of tokens are concerning, as well as they're like hyperscalers are hiding some activity off their balance sheets. Lots of stuff. There's a lot of things to be concerned about. Guys, I gotta run. I really appreciate everyone joining this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining. I loved today's conversation. Really exciting craziness going on, especially with Moderna. Very exciting stuff with them. Very exciting, very interesting things, I'll say, going on with U.S. Treasury markets as a result of bond market activity yesterday. Bitcoin's up 7.6% today. We've seen some big movement in neoclouds, downward movement because of interest rate changes, all that kind of stuff. Really, really enjoyed today's conversation. If this is your first time here, thank you guys for joining. Make sure you hit the follow button because I'll be live tomorrow and Friday. I do this for about 2 hours every day during the week. And we talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. I share my ideas, but I like having the audience in the driver's seat. I like it when you guys share your ideas with me and we get to investigate it together. That's fun. That's interesting. And for those of you who are, I may have missed your question first, I apologize. So, sorry guys for missing those questions. Sometimes the chat can move pretty fast. Sometimes my brain can move slow. So, apologies in advance if I missed your question, but make sure you hit the follow button because I do try to get to everybody's questions. So join me tomorrow and bring your same idea tomorrow and we can talk about it, or I'll do my best to make it. And if I did answer your question and you're not satisfied with what you heard, you're like, Andrew, come on, dude, like this isn't anything new. You didn't tell me anything that's particularly interesting. Go to the YouTube channel. That's where the deep dives are. That's where I pick companies apart. That's where I give target prices. That's where I do DCF analysis. That's where I do technical analysis. That's where I look at leadership, cash flow, working capital, quality of earnings, income statements, balance sheets, all that stuff. Metrics, KPIs, how they're going to make money, what's the growth story, all that stuff. So go check out YouTube and go hit subscribe on YouTube. It'd mean a ton to me, you guys. Thank you so much for doing that. Jay, thanks for showing up. Glad you're here for your first time. Make sure to come back tomorrow. D, I am usually live. I start going live anywhere from 3 to 3:30 Eastern US. I may start pushing that back a little bit earlier so that way we can see more action and get a little bit more market uptime, because usually I stream towards the end of as markets starting to close and after market close. So we may go live at like maybe 2:30 tomorrow. Anyway, thanks so much, everybody. Thank you for hitting the follow button. Thank you for the gifts. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. And go check out YouTube. I would appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Take care.